the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground is people think they know God because they have some form of entitlement. And I think this is where religion comes in to mess everything around, because most people believe what they've been taught about God. So they have no time to understand who God is because they have never read it. They've never read about God. Possibly they have read about him through the Quran, the Bible stuff, but they have never taken a chance to understand the spiritual aspect of what nature is and who God is, in like literally. Because most of us even think that God is a person, so we think God will react according to our feelings. So if you're actually getting angry, it means you still have the nature of evil, because anger and love cannot sit in the same heart. Love is the nature of God, and anger is the nature of evil. These two things cannot stay in the same building, the same heart. This is the reason why you'll hear Christians telling you that, you see, I can sin and still ask for forgiveness and I will be forgiven. And they sin all the time because they believe that because they were designed, God is God who put that sin in them. So they have no control over that. But God put some form of will in you and some form of power to actually choose between good and evil. And listen to this. We wanted to base this on the argument of families and stuff. Why is it that families are breaking up? What is it that we are getting wrong? That families are breaking up, like the children are being raised by single parenthood, and what is the connection between these two, the breaking up of the family and the issues that are coming in form of mental health in these children? Now understand this, that whether you like it or not, a man is supposed to know God. Tuanzie hapo, every man is supposed to know God. Why am I saying that? Because if a man knows God, you will understand the nature and the order of God. And the nature and order of God starts from God himself to men, and then men over women, and women over children. That's the order of God. God above men, men above women, women above children. But look at it this way. What is happening in the modern society is God above men, and then men and women on the same line. Sometimes women above men, because women have now adopted masculine roles. They are working tirelessly to provide, which basically tells you a man slept on the job, because it is the nature of God that a man provides. So therefore, it's the nature of God that a man has to understand God before he even gets married. Because if he does understand God, he will understand the order of God, and then he will know, regardless of the position of a woman in a society, the man is the ultimate provider. And the roles of a man are just summarized, they're actually limited. One is provision, exclusive provision. Two, somebody's asking which gender is God. Your God has a gender. Itwaya, your God has a gender. You've been listening to pastors telling you that God spoke to me. This is a question you should ask pastors. God spoke to you. In which voice? Was it a feminine voice or a masculine voice? So stop putting gender to something that is not there. You don't even have the evidence of that being. We have evidence of creation, but we don't have evidence of that being that you're putting a gender to. So why would I classify God as a male or a female? And again, he says, my children will know me through my voice, which is a voiceless voice. So God reveals things to you. He doesn't speak to you. So how will you know the gender? Anyway, that aside. So listen. So if a man understands the order of God, this means this man will know that women are under him and children are also under him. So he will provide for these children and these women exclusively. That is one. Number two, he will respect and submit to the upper power. So from up going down is God, love to the man, love from the man to the woman, love from the woman to the children. But nowadays, how many women are telling men that they love men? Like women on this platform, allow me to ask you this question. Is it possible for a woman to love a man? Given that the order of God is love flows from God to the man, and man to the woman, and woman to the children. And vice versa is respect and submission. So is it possible for a woman to love a man? But how many of you always tell men that they love these men, and then somebody asks you, what is love? You don't understand. Why? Because the man is the one who is supposed to teach a woman about God. The man is the one who's supposed to teach this woman to know God and also teach the children. But again, look at it this way. Women are the one who are taking children to church, and at least for the Muslim community, the sheikh are men. Men are the ones who are responsible of teaching deen to the children. But in Christian families, women are the ones who are taking children to church every Sunday. True or false? True or false? So it means The order of God is actually distorted. And now women are working hard to provide for the families because men have become weak and we are sharing bills. So when you're sharing bills with the woman, how do you expect submission and respect to come? Because these things are earned. So when you understand the order of God, it becomes easier for you because you will understand that these people, wherever they do, they are under me. I have to provide and protect them exclusively. And number one role of a man is provision, exclusive provision to whoever is in his life. That's number one. Number two is protection. Now, listen, thoughts are very evil. At all times, thoughts are evil because you don't create your own thoughts, they are put in your head by somebody. Women start creating thoughts in a child's head from the time because they are the ones who spend a lot of time with these children. So most of us rely on the thoughts that were put in our heads. We don't have independence of thought. That's why thoughts are evil, because people put their thoughts in our heads and you start believing. That's the reason why you start losing weight and everybody tells you you're looking bad and you now start feeling bad about it. You eat yourself to fatness because it's a spiritual battle. Role number two for a man is protection. And on that protection role, the man is supposed to protect the children against the emotions that are coming from the mother. Hello? Protect the woman from external aggressors, and then protect the children from external aggressors. But most importantly, protect the children from the emotions that are coming from the mother. Because sometimes women will admit to this, that when you're punishing a child, you end up punishing the child with emotions. The anger that you've pulled from the father, you end up punishing this child with that same anger. And you see, that is an evil move. So when you punish this child with that anger because of the disagreement that is coming between you and the husband, these children start to resent you because they don't like it. They know they've done a mistake and they need to be corrected. And that's why I always insist men are the ones who are supposed to punish the children, because men punish without emotions. They punish according to the mistake that has been done. But women punish with emotions because it's the nature of a woman to be emotional. You cannot separate a woman from emotions. They will tell you they've matured emotionally, but the reality is there is a small child in every woman. There's that small child in every woman who needs to be corrected and molded to be the woman that she is. And men have failed on this because they don't understand the nature of God. Men were taken to churches by women, they were taught in school by women, and therefore they end up adapting the nature of a woman, emotions. And they were raised by women. As fathers disappeared, and you can see that in single motherhood or single parenthood families, when men deposit their sperm and then they disappear, they let these children be raised by mothers. When these children are raised by mothers, all they know is one side of the story, which is the mother's story. Now, a woman has always the need to control something. And apparently, when women get married, the only thing they can control is the man who they have in that relationship, the husband. Now, ladies, it is okay to make one mistake, but repeating the same mistake is a crime. It's actually on you. If you have two children from different baby daddies, you will have to take responsibility for that, because you see, from one man, it's allowed. Why is it allowed? Because somebody can handle that, because you made a mistake once. Makosa si makosa. Kufanya kosa si kosa, kurudia kosa ndilo kosa. When you do it the second time, so imagine you have two children from two different baby daddies. But you see, in these two different relationships, the constant is you. This also happens to men. Listen, I'll give you a small story for this to just make sense. I used to talk to different women. I used to date different women back in the day, and it was exciting and boring at the same time. Why? Because I would think I was a guru because I had all these women around me. But one thing I realized, I feared women because I actually feared my mother. So men are supposed to fear only God, but I feared my mother to an extent that every single woman that I attracted was actually behaving like my mother. That's the reality. So I used to fear these women, but I used to date multiple of them because I was so insecure. I was thinking, if this one leaves, I have this one. I cannot suffer. That was a crime. That meant I never knew the essence or the basis of family and the basis of the order of God. So this is what happened. In all the relationships that I was in, every time I break up with one woman, I blame them. I blame them. This is what you guys do all the time. You blame the other party because you think from within you are the best person, right? You'll always think that you are the best and all others are the problem. So I blamed every single one of them. Let's put a figure, maybe 5. Now in this 5, the constant was me. But each one of them left for a different reason. And every time one left, I kept on complaining. And remember, I thought because I have 5, if one goes, I'll have 4, so I'm safe, right? But it hurt as crazy. One leaves and it hurts you as though you just had that one. The other one leaves and it hurts as though you still had just one. So as much as you think multiple women will give you the pleasure, it doesn't make sense, man. It doesn't make sense. So this is the reality. So every single one of them who left, I kept on blaming them. It was their fault. It was their fault. Why did they leave me? I mean, I'm adequate. Why did they leave me? It is them, not me. But you see, in these 5 women, the constant is only me, which means I was the mistake. And until I realized I was afraid of my mother. So therefore, I ended up being afraid or being fearful of a woman instead of fearing only God. I suffered the consequences. So I became so chaotic, so emotional, everything. Hey, there's nothing bad like having women. No, there's nothing weird like having an emotional man. Like an emotional man is just like a woman. Chaos after chaos, argument after argument, and that was normalized. I thought, I have to put my point across. And then they leave, and then I blame them. And the more I blame them, the more I attract the same energy. And until I decided, no, this is enough. I have to find some spiritual aspect of life, because the real case is it's not about the women. It's about how you fix your spirituality, because you attract who you are. Now listen to this. A woman has an innate thing to control something. Inborn. It's not a problem. This nature. From within, they have something to control. Now, apparently, the only thing that they have control over is the man they are having in a relationship or in or dating. Those questions that they call the shit tests, those questions that a woman asks you every single time, are actually questions that confirm a woman wants to control a man. But if she finds it difficult to control a man, she'll take a responsibility to control the children so that the man gives the attention. So a woman wants attention naturally. Leave alone the love language that you guys say, oh, you touch, you need. It's all about attention. And she has to get this attention by all means. And 2 ways she gets this attention or she controls the man. One is through sex. That's why when you don't ejaculate, she'll ask you, are you seeing another woman? Why is that question coming in? That question comes in because she wanted some form of control, and that's from within her. She doesn't even know. She doesn't have control over it. It's a natural instinct. So she wants to control the man through sex, but if she's unable to control you through sex, she will control you through the children. So what will she do? She will try as much as possible to give the children attention and turn the children against you as a man. And why is she turning the children against you? She doesn't even know. She's doing this to get the attention, because once you realize the children are turning against you, you start giving them attention. And a man has only one goal in their head. You cannot compete with 2 things in your head. It's very difficult for a man. We are not good at multitasking. So anytime you shift your attention from the goal towards the woman, you lose the goal. Now, believe me, you on this one, she will leave. Because this woman got attracted to you because of the goal that you had. She actually bought the idea that she can drop her ambition and join your ambition, because you acted or you behaved as though you had an ambition, and she bought the ambition. And now she has managed to control you naturally, and you've fallen for that trap, and you've shifted your attention from your goal towards her. Trouble. This is what is happening in marriages. And most married men are beta males. You can't even help it, because these questions that women ask every single time, you will have to remember these questions so that you can answer them adequately. And if you lie to a woman once, bro, you have to remember that lie, because she has a file. So a year down the line, she'll ask that question again, but in a different way. And you will suffer because you will lie. Or at that moment in time, you forgot even the lie that you actually formulated. So now you have to say the truth. And when you say the truth, she's like, but you told me this. Now you have to formulate a second lie to defend the first lie. And now you have 2 lies to remember. I mean, what man has the ability to remember 2 lies consecutively? Hey, now you've created a hole for yourself, and it becomes chaotic for you. Because now you'll always be trying as much as possible to impress her. And that's the time you fall for the trap. Because a man is supposed to be honest. You're supposed to live an honest life. And you cannot live an honest life if you don't know God. You can't. So you have to know God before even thinking about a marriage. And this is why the problem is coming in marriages, and this marriage is an institution that's actually ordained by God. So it's ordained by God. So which means before you get into it, you must know God. Not knowing about God because you've read about him. Not knowing God because somebody told you about God. No. You have to know God on your own, which means you have to find the spiritual self and fix it. And how do you find the spiritual self? Remember, the woman turned you against the father, and to a child, the biological father is the earthly representation of God. I repeat, to every child, the earthly representation of God is the biological father. Are we now getting it where the problem comes in a single parenthood? When there's a single mother involved in this, the only thing that this child knows is the nature of the mother. The nature of the mother. And you see, the woman was actually, they will recreate this child. And this is not disrespect single mothers on this platform, but this is the reality. Women have a way of recreating the child in their own image. When they recreate the child in their own image, this child knows the side of the story of the mother. Now, regardless of what happened between the child, the woman and the father of the child, that is not a child's business. So women, stop putting children in these compromising situations. That now this child has to hate the father because you hate the boyfriend, aka boyfriend, the father of the child. So now you have to recreate the child in your own image so that the child actually sides with you in this situation. And this is weird because this is happening all the time. And this topic has become so sensitive that anytime you mention anything about single mothers, it becomes chaotic. Women become so annoyed about this. But you see, ladies, as you become annoyed because somebody has told you the truth, remember, you're raising a son. And this son is going to attract a woman who has exact personality as you. So do you expect his relationship to last? Do you expect his marriage to last? When all he has in him is the nature of you because you've recreated him in your own image. This means that these sons will have to go and seek forgiveness from you. And you see, anytime you tell a man, please go and tell your mother that you've forgiven her and you want to let her go because you want to overcome the nature of the mother from inside. You want to overcome that nature of the woman. For you to overcome that nature of the woman, which is emotional, which is a little chaotic because emotions and anger are actually coming from a side of lack. So we are raising sons who are beating up women. We are raising sons who are so chaotic they cannot provide because they know a woman is supposed to provide. You see the way the problem is? Now this son ends up attracting a woman who is exactly as the mother because anytime you try to recreate this son in your own image, ladies, anytime you recreate this son in your own image, this son starts to resent you because they become feminine. They don't like being feminine. So they resent you without even knowing. And when they resent you, they become like you. Because whatever you resent, you become. Now they end up attracting exactly the same women as you. Now, put this story of single mothers aside and get into a marriage. Nowadays, marriages are breaking, but people are just there physically because of the society. So the society will not see us as though we are bad. Okay, women want to put that move that I'm not a bad person, and the man wants to show that I am that man in this marriage, so that the society can respect him. But these people are single in marriage. These people are single in marriage, so these people are sharing bills. So therefore, this man is expecting the woman to respect him and submit to him. Actually, he's pushing respect and submission, forcing it. But you see, a woman's nature is to submit and respect the man, who is a stoic man, the provider, the protector, and the leader. But you're not a leader because you don't know the order of God. You're sharing bills. You can't make decisions. You're not decisive. And then you cannot protect this woman because you're fat. So you're not physically fit. You're financially at a very dangerous position because you rely on a salary. So you're one pay slip away from being broke. If you become broke, how will you provide for them? How? So you cannot lead, you cannot protect both physically and financially. You cannot provide because you're sharing bills with this woman. When you're doing these things, now you've distorted the order of God. So now it becomes God above men, and now men with women above children. Criminal. Some of you men, You are relying on your children to come and salvage you in your retirement period. So you're thinking that I'm taking this son to school. Instead of taking them to school to go and find independence, to depend on themselves, you're actually trying to take them to school so that they can be a retirement plan for you. Because all through you've been sharing bills with your woman, of course. So what do you expect? And now remember, women are very sharp. That controlling thing, they tend to control your sons. And this is the reason why they will leave you in the villages and move to the cities to go and argue with the wives of their sons. As you suffer in the village, your wife, aka the mother of this child, is actually eating good in town and creating chaos. The mother-in-law is creating chaos all the time. So you failed as a man. So you need to understand that order. Once you understand that order, everything else falls in place. So now tell me, how many men get married after forgiving their mothers? Men fear their mothers. They cannot stand against their mothers and tell them, hey, this is enough. I have respected you for the longest period of time, and it's time for me to let you go because I want to overcome you from within. So I want you to forgive me for resenting you for no good reason. That statement looks very vague. But you see, you don't even know the reason why you're resenting her, because you did not understand the nature of God. And now, because you're trying to find God, because you're trying to return back to the Father before getting back to the Father. And your earthly representation of the Father is actually a biological father. So you have to go back by forgiving the mother. And then after forgiving the mother, you have now a leeway. And now do not care about what the mother will say. Once you've just said, hey, I want you to forgive me for resenting you for no good reason, whatever she says is none of your business, because most mothers will become so emotional and they'll cry and they will act up and all that. It's none of your business. And remember that she cannot forgive you because forgiveness does not come from a human being, it comes from above, from God. So once you say those words, God sees the pain in you and now removes the suffering from you by putting the mother's identity out. Because you see, when she was turning you against the father, she remolded you into her own image and then imposed her identity in you. So you're suffering with multiple identities. So by the time you're going to a psychiatrist to look for what is ailing you, why you are depressed, you're actually going to get another identity from the psychologist or from the psychiatrist. Triple identities. And now you'll always be sitting in a corner popping antidepressants until you get to forgive your mother. Once you forgive your mother, you get the identity of her identity of you. And now God gives you your own identity and fills you with love. And then before that, you also have to face your father and tell your father, I want you to forgive me for resenting you, because remember, actually you have to tell him directly, I want to forgive you for you not protecting me against the anger and emotions that were coming from the mother. Because the role of the father to protect the children against the anger and emotions that are coming from the mother. That's a primary role. So when you forgive the mother, you have one obstacle to get your own identity perfectly. You forgive the father because he did not protect you against the anger and the evil that was coming from the mother. Once you do that, God removes all these identities from you, gives you a whole new identity, and then fills you with love. And now listen, through that identity, God will reveal things to you. God does not talk to people. If a pastor ever tells you that God spoke to me, Mungu aliniongelesha, ask him, is that a feminine voice or a masculine voice? If God talked to you, even in the books, those people who had an experience with God, they ran. They were so frightened. So you, pastor, today God spoke to you and you just listening. You are just there standing confidently listening, and then now you want to pass the message to me. You're lying. God cannot pass my message to you. No. God will need my identity to reveal things to me through my own identity. So stop lying to me. In fact, go and fix your identity, because you know about God because you've read the Bible. But you don't know God because you have never sought for forgiveness. You are even afraid of your own mother, and you are a pastor. So you need that. You need that. When you get that identity, now God uses that identity to reveal things to you. But if you're waiting to hear, he even says, my voice is a voiceless voice, and my children will know me through that voice. And that voice has to come through the identity. You can never get a revelation from God because God does not speak to people. God reveals things to people. So he cannot reveal anything when there's an obstacle. You don't have an identity. So how will he reveal things to you when you've actually given people your identity?